Hello, and welcome to another episode of You'll Have That podcast. This is episode 3. I'm joined here by Wasip and Jaboon, and we have quite a few topics to discuss today. Um, Either one of you want to start up, or
Jaboon here will go ahead and take the lead. We're actually going to be, starting off with a pretty interesting one. I'm fumbling. Give me a second. My brain's off. So, video game ethics with video games have been a very questionable thing lately. I think we all know that. Um, it feels like we're seeing more and more communities either finding out really scummy things or doing really scummy things. And I think a good way to really just to start showcasing that, I guess the best way to put it is the whole GTA 6 hacker leak. And this is Austin's topic, so I'll kind of let him explain it because I don't know too much about it. So on to you, man. What's up?
Thank you, Jaboon. So basically, we all saw the trailer for GTA 6, I'm sure. I mean, that was a worldwide phenomenon. But actually, it leaked, I think, a day or two early because of a GTA 6, I guess, hacker slash leaker. And Rockstar pursued legal action towards that person, which ended him up in a hospital prison, essentially, a psych ward.
psych ward?
Yeah, basically and for indefinite amount of time, essentially. So that's kind of scary to think that a gaming company has that much power to just ruin someone's life based on a leak.
Well, okay, so I don't think that I don't think it was Rockstar that actually ruined his life or
Well,
anything. I
no,
think
he
that
he did that himself.
once he got it was either in court or something, he told him that he would continue to hack or whatever. And yeah, they deemed him the court deemed him to be a little crazy, a little cray cray.
It wasn't his
So
first time either. He's been in trouble numerous times, right?
I possibly I'm not gonna say for sure on that because I'm not entirely sure, but I
Mm.
do know that whenever he was in police custody, he literally uh, hacked. I believe Rockstar. That's what he did
Oh
while in police
wow,
custody,
wow.
using like a fire stick
Oh
and
yeah, yeah, yeah.
something as a cell phone or
Jeez.
something. So like at the end of the day, in my opinion, that's actually uh, that's actually very impressive
Right.
that he could do that, and not so impressive for Rockstar because if you can be hacked via
Fire stick.
a fire stick and a cell phone connection, then what kind of security do you actually have? So
Here's two things I want to ask. So I don't know too much about the whole GTA 6 leak aside from it was just like the engine, right? They were showing like the engine and all that,
Hmm.
and like them just kind of like a little play test. Was this like multiple breaches or like not breaches, but like was this like a reoccurring thing with GTA 6?
Yeah.
Like this
So
wasn't the only leak.
correct. So the first leak, excuse me, was I think a year ago, possibly even more, and that actually was a developer's files. So it had source code from GTA 6.
mhm.
Um and that leaked. So that was in its own thing. That was way early in the development process. It was very crude. And Rockstar really hunted down those files online because it was source code for the new game. Then the leak for the trailer is a different one. They got hacked again. I don't know if it's by the same developer or whatever, but that was it. The trailer they had prepared got released early.
So, and a little more information on the whole situation is all of that did not happen in America. So it was in the UK,
Hmm.
Okay.
and it was a British judge that sentenced the 18-year-old who leaked the footage um, into an indefinite detention in a secure hospital.
Oh, he's an 18-year-old.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
18. He's
Well,
18
that changes it entirely for me. So not only is this dude 18 years old, he's also hacking Rockstar Games with was it a Fire Stick?
Hmm.
with a fire stick. Yes.
I don't know. I think like here's my opinion on that. two things. I think Rockstar needs to focus their resources more on security and like
Yeah,
anti-cheat to begin with.
absolutely.
Well,
We've seen
that
how things are.
uh, exactly.
But here's one more thing. Why wouldn't they like try to maybe hire the kid as like security, like, you know, almost like a white hat hacker?
And I
Someone
think a
like to
lot of
test like
people,
security.
yeah, I think a lot of people are speculating that that's what's going to happen. And it's kind of like he'll disappear, and then some government agency will hire him, and you'll never hear about him again. That sort
Some
of
government
thing.
agency.
But yeah, this is tinfoil hat kind of speak, so it is what it is. Publicly, what we know is that he's in the hospital prison thing, or psych ward. Sorry, psych ward. Give me one sec. Actually, I forgot the live topic thing, so I'm just going to quickly.
No, you're good. I'll ask Twiz about it a bit while you're fiddling with that.
Yeah, okay.
So
Yep, there we go.
got sent to a psych ward. Why would they go psych ward? Why wouldn't they like
I think it's
Possibly
because he's underage.
no, he's not underage.
no,
He's 18.
Like
Is what I
Wow.
think it is. What I think it is possibly he has some kind of mental health background. Maybe
Mm,
maybe he's on the spectrum, high
yeah,
functioning, something like that.
that makes sense.
Possibly. Now, on the other end of that is what's really scary is okay, a hacker just hacked you guys. And I believe he also got like people's employees like personal information as well, such as like their addresses and stuff. I may be
Mm,
wrong, but he used a fire stick to do all this.
hmm
Meanwhile, Rockstar sells shark cards and has plenty of people's credit card information and all of that. So
right.
that's a scary thought.
Right, because it's like if he can hack just, you know, game files and get game files with an Amazon Fire Stick,
Well,
imagine what he could do with the
also
website.
possibly get employee. Let me look it up. Possibly get employee information.
Yeah,
well,
like
he's had to because he hacked into their servers, and he got a developer's information, right?
that's just crazy to me though. Like, how does that go unchecked? Because this guy had to be getting away with it for like a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
He said this is a reoccurring
Okay,
thing.
yeah,
I
yeah.
do.
Game details and employee information.
Yep.
That is scary to think about, dude. With the amount of people that spent money on shirt cards.
And the thing about it is a lot of these companies that get hacked aren't very transparent as to what exactly got taken
Yeah, the what
in the
data that got
breach.
compromised, right?
But that's the
Right. So, like, and trust, I get it. Things cost money. You know, security costs money, servers cost money, all this stuff costs money. But whenever you're again,
Oops.
and this has been a quite common theme here on the podcast, but whenever you're talking about multi-million dollar industries, sometimes multi-billion dollar industries,
Mm-hmm.
fumbling this hard with employees data, customer data, you know, all of this, it makes myself and I'm pretty sure other consumers wonder what exactly are they doing with all of this money, because it's obviously not put into making better games, as we've seen over the course of the past couple of years. You know, there's only been 2 or 3 video games that have came out that are actually like really really good and had positive reviews.
Right.
So, you know, if you're doing this cookie cutter copy and paste bullcrap, anyways, where's the rest of this money going? Into shareholders' pockets? And if so, then you're not protecting your employees. You're not protecting your customers. When is
not
enough
protecting their product
enough?
either. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not protecting your product. You know, it does beg the question, when is enough enough? When
Right.
is the
Exactly.
consumer going to say, you know what? We're tired of the BS. You know, just go on somewhere.
Another thing is, it makes you wonder, you know, if it's all going to shareholders, there has to be enough money to be able to invest into better servers for, like, say, the online, aspect. Not to mention better security in general. Like, as I coughed Bethesda, but Bethesda's a great example of letting their stuff get hacked way too easily, and I think them and Rockstar both fall under that same category.
So yeah, and here's the thing about that is it's either this or that, right?
Mhm.
So on one hand, this you're just not taking your security seriously.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Or it's that, which is a little more nefarious in my perspective. And this also extends to even Call of Duty. So GTA 5, we all know, horrible hacker experience, right?
With
So
modders and that.
for years with the modders and the mod menus and stuff like that, whenever I would get onto GTA 5, after I think month 5 or 6, you step out of your apartment, you're instantly blown up, or there's stuff that is spawned on top of you that's either not in the game or is only supposed to be in story mode, or just random craziness. All
Or
right.
some dude's God mode cheating, all the fun stuff.
Right, all the fun stuff, and then with Call of Duty, you've got
The ray gun and
aimbot, wall
multiplayer.
hack, and ray gun and multiplayer, and just all this craziness. So it's either you guys aren't taking your security and anti-cheat seriously, or the more nefarious option is you guys are behind the mod menus. You're behind producing the hacks and the cheats and the all of this shit. So which is it? Which one is it? Are you just real nonchalant about your security? And if you are, that's shitty. Or are you guys, do you have a back end team that's creating this? Not to sound like tinfoil hat, but again, Grand Theft Auto 5, Call of Duty has had the same exact issues with these same exact mod menus and shit for years and years and years and years and years. Call of Duty, ever since it hit online multiplayer, has had the issues with the same stuff. So, like, what's going on? and you keep doubling down on like Ricochet anti-cheat instead of easy anti-cheat, which is an industry standard. You've got CDL, Call of Duty League, all right, with tournaments and stuff like that, and you literally have tournament participators that have been caught cheating at the tournament.
You may remember the Word.exe cheat at the Counter-Strike tournament.
Oh yes,
right,
yes, yeah,
exactly. Yeah. I was on YouTube maybe an hour before we started our podcast today, and in my feed pops up a dude that's playing Call of Duty that is literally showing off his
aimbot
settings in the Cronus Zim.
Oh, okay.
To be able to aim just like him and blah blah blah, and for ranked. All right. So for the people that are like me, I still play Call of Duty. I bitch about it, but I still play it. And I play ranked. So for people like me that is not cheating, that doesn't have, that's not going to go out and buy a Cronus Zim, that's not going to download cheats or mod menus or whatever onto my PC, I'm already playing at a disadvantage. Period.
Right.
And then to add insult to injury, you have the people that are cheating talking about
and they're
how
rewarded
bad
for
you
it.
are.
Right.
And they're rewarded for it. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here like, it's obvious. The final kill cam, this person is snapping on to multiple people's heads in search and destroy. How is it not cheating? He's tracking people through a wall.
Yeah.
You report them and nothing.
Nothing gets done.
You
I
run into the same dude 2 days later in ranked.
And they're just not punished. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I kind of want to add on to it because I remember back when I was like really playing I was really into Counter Strike at one point. I'm not very proud to say that, but I was. And games like that, even Call of Duty, even
I mean, Counter
Fortnite.
Strike has better anti-cheat than Call of Duty does, and so does Fortnite.
I mean, fair. It's it's a really shaky topic, but I remember, I was getting advertisements on YouTube for buying cheats or free cheat downloads, or people cheating or showing off their mod menu settings.
Yeah.
And I'd play against these guys using spin bots and Counter Strike and showing off, say, resolvers, things like that, which people aren't going to know what those are just from hearing podcasts unless they're kind of educated. Um, it makes you wonder, like, these people are paying to show off them cheating. They're showing off their cheats. They're getting monetary value for showing off what they do and doing what they do. And the developers are doing nothing about it. They're not investing in their cheat. It makes me wonder if by the time that we have any actual anti-cheat in any games, is everything going to be kernel level? Like, do we have to get to a point where we are going into pretty much installing a rootkit on the people's computers just to prevent any sort of hacking or leaks? Which it makes you wonder, do we have any privacy when it comes to hackers, cheaters? Like, when is it going to be enough for these companies to say, okay, we're going to put our foot down, let's try and find a way to solve this or hire more people onto the team that actually care?
I'm actually glad that you brought up the whole kernel level thing, because it's been a recent thing. A lot of especially since the whole Denuvo and Capcom thing, a lot of anti-cheat that people don't realize, a lot, and I mean almost 90% of the current anti-cheat that's mainstream is kernel level.
They're now kernel level, yeah.
And it has to be kernel level.
It's simply, like, it wasn't like that back in the day. But
it wasn't, and here's an example of what happens when you don't do kernel level. Valve's anti-cheat is not kernel level, and CSGO has a very big issue with cheaters for that reason.
Dota, all those do.
Yeah.
Call of Duty has a huge...
Call of Duty actually does have a kernel level anti-cheat. It's just a trash anti-cheat, because they're trying to develop it in-house, and the developers are simply just not putting in... I don't know. I mean, I'm not a developer, so I don't know. But there's clearly an issue with their anti-cheat. But I think a big thing we should also look at is this budget cuts? Is this where the developers are being pushed to push out a new title versus honing in and refining their current product? I think with Call of Duty we can see that with Modern Warfare 2 to 3. They should have definitely honed Modern Warfare 2.
You could see that for every Call of Duty that's ever been dropped. They've been on a yearly every year a new Call of Duty is dropped, whether it's in Modern Warfare or it's Black Ops. And yes,
right,
some people will argue, oh, it's different developers, blah blah blah, it's a different dev team. Activision is still Activision,
right? And exactly, and that's kind of like begging the question, if they took that time and instead of pushing out a game every year, just focus on one title for like 3 years, 4 years, do what Battlefield does. Release a game and support it for, I don't know how many years they support it, but I think it's like 5 years or something, or 4. Excuse me. But instead do that and see how good your game can turn out. And then you have an even better platform to start a new one. But instead it's just pump it out, another one, let's go. I mean, as soon as they release a game, it's almost like they're already on to the next one in terms of development. And you're gonna see these leaks, these cheats and all that. You're gonna see it become a more prevalent topic because the developers simply aren't given enough time, or they're just pushed onto a project that doesn't involve that.
Well, then you go into the whole debacle where 1,900 employees at Activision and Blizzard and Xbox just got laid off.
Yep. Which let's have you'll have that for the previous topic, because we're segueing into a new one. So yeah, in regards to the GTA 6 cheats, leaks, and in general gaming hacking and stuff, you will have that. You'll unfortunately have that. Yes,
you sure will. But yeah, you have 1,900 employees laid off from Microsoft, Blizzard, and Xbox. All right. Could that be a good thing? Possibly, if they replace those employees with, competent um, employees that have the heart to do what needs to be done, that that's fresh and all of that.
Mhm.
Are they going to do that? I don't know. To be honest, I feel like it's more of a penny pinching thing, and again, more money kicked up to the shareholders. So in that regard, I'm hoping, I'm trying to be optimistic that they will hire, new worthwhile people and stuff like that. On the other hand, I'm kind of saddened for these 1,900 people that are now out of a job. I've seen stories of people that have moved across the country as early as about 6 months ago for this opportunity for this job, and now they're jobless. Um, so yeah, on both ends, it's kind of messed up, and as Asmongold said it, this is kind of how mergers go. They're gonna get rid of the old guard and do their own thing. I just hope that Microsoft doesn't fondle the ball and um, just mess it all up.
Yeah, that's. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You're good. I'll go ahead. But it's just, it sucks because, like you said, these are people that have moved across countries or even across the world for an opportunity for their dream job, and seeing all these people get let go from Bungie, from other companies like Activision, Xbox, all that. I can at least kind of hope that these big companies are trying to help them at least get a replacement job from letting them go. But from a lot of the
Doubtful.
stories that I've heard, exactly, I'm very doubtful because a lot of these people will tweet after they lost their job. Like we've seen the Disney layoffs. Remember back
Yeah,
when
that's true.
Club
Yeah.
Penguin was a
Yep.
big thing, when that closed down and then they tried to reboot it and it closed. All those people had no jobs after that because the company didn't care as long as they got rid of the product, and not got rid of the product, but it was disposable. They were expendable.
Liquidating everything. Yeah.
Liquidating,
Right.
exactly.
And not to try to be too political about this, but this is where, if you really start looking at things, monopolies are supposed to be illegal in the United States, and we're starting to see this upward trend of monopolies. Microsoft is buying a whole bunch of stuff. Google's buying a whole bunch of stuff. Like we are really starting to see this trend of, there's not any real worthwhile kind of competition. The prices of things are starting to get increased and stuff like that, and our officials are not fighting for us as constituents and people like that. And why is that? Is it because they're already in these companies' pockets because they've been given super PACs and stuff like that? What's the deal here? Inflation is just going up faster than what like real inflation is supposed to be, and it's not coming back down the way it's supposed to. So what's going on here? In my opinion, a lot of people got excited for Microsoft to be taking over Activision and Blizzard and all of this, and yeah, I guess it could have been a good thing, but at the same time, it's like, okay, Microsoft already owns a lot of shit, and now they're owning even more, and now we're seeing more people laid off and this and that and the other. So it's like, all right, they're starting to become a monopoly. Google's starting to become a monopoly. Amazon is starting to become a monopoly, and so on and so forth. When is enough enough?
That's a very good point. And to not get too political and kind of steer back into more of our opinions, it seems like these companies that have kind of got their foothold already and have dominated the industry for a long time are only getting bigger and bigger to the point where nothing can compete. And I'm gonna touch back on the Microsoft and all the people that were excited for the acquisition of Activision Blizzard. I think that's gonna segue into the sunk cost fallacy. My bad. There you go. I think we can segue into that. But I'll wait till we're all done with this topic here.
Oh, I'm pretty much done with this topic, but it's up to Jaboon.
Well,
Yeah,
one sec.
I get to talk.
Let me just finish this last sentence. Sorry, Jaboon. I don't mean to cut you
you're
off.
Good, man. Go ahead. Go ahead.
But yeah, I mean, staff layoffs. Yes, this happens when mergers happen, especially when the company that bought the other company is not going to fire its own team. It's going to fire what it doesn't need. And I feel like with how Activision Blizzard has been lately, you could say that this is more like trimming the fat, but with as many as they fire or laid off, this is cutting into the meat now. I understand wanting to just kind of button things up, getting rid of excess that you don't need. Maybe you don't need 2 HR departments, for example. You don't need 2 executive departments or whatever it may be. So that I understand. But they've laid off so many people that it's like, okay, well, are we going to see this be another one of Microsoft's failed endeavors here in the next 5 years or 10 years? Which, at the current rate, it's a possibility.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Because they already canceled Blizzard's survival game that they've been working on for 6 years, so that's been completely canceled now.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and my whole thing about it is like, again, back to Modern Warfare 3, because it is an Activision. It's one of Activision's biggest titles right now. The game's only been out for 2 months, and you just laid off 30% of its developers.
And the sales were very underwhelming. This is, I think, one of not the worst selling Call of Duty they've released. So they haven't met their quota per se.
Well, they haven't met their quota, and not only that, like, is it smart to lay off 30% of the development team on a game that's only about 2 months old, not even out of its first season?
And that shows the lack of commitment.
Polishing.
Yeah, exactly.
And stuff like that. You know, it really doesn't bode well to be able to turn that, you know, crashing ship around to show its customer base, hey, you know, we do care about this. We hear you. We're, you know, making efforts to make a game that you want, that you want to play. And like, let's not drive these game studios and stuff in any further into the ground than what they already are. But laying off 30% of the development team right there already kind of shows me that, like, you guys aren't really invested in this. You're just looking at the bottom line. And at the end of the day, you keep doing shit like this, your bottom line is going to suffer just as much because people are not going to buy your games.
And I think that harps to one of the, brings one of the topics that we had last episode, I think, where indie devs now are really starting to overtake the market, and I think it's long overdue. It's very clear that the passion that Blizzard had is gone. The passion that Bethesda had is non-existent. These companies... One second. One second. These companies now are all about profit margin. We're just trying to meet a profit quota. There's no soul to the game. And I think when games like Pal World, which was a group of 10 people that expanded to 40, and they have literally took the whole market by storm, when something like that can happen, it really shows you, like, maybe they should go back to their roots and focus on the actual game versus just profit quotas. But sorry, go ahead.
Right, but my whole thing about indie developers, don't get me wrong, I love them to death and all of that, but what does that say for the competitive industry? For, you know, your CSGO players, your Call of Duty players, your Battlefield players, your, you know, the actual competitive side, that needs the finances to back them for good anti-cheats and stuff like that. I don't see an indie game developer having that sort of capacity.
It definitely be more difficult, yeah. But I think BattleBit Remastered was a small studio, and they've come out with a pretty good game. I think
Yeah,
the
it's a small.
Finals is not a huge studio either. And they've come out with a great game, and there are a lot of ex EA developers, so I think it's possible. It's not like it's impossible. The days of like requiring a huge multi-million-dollar studio to undertake some of these. Yeah, I mean, obviously you're not gonna get like a Cyberpunk release. You're not gonna get some of these major like God of War. You're not gonna get that, at least not in the time period that of 5 years with an indie dev. But it's definitely, I would say, with Unreal Engine 5, the gap is being closed. The gap of needing to hire a room of 200 people to make a game is starting to, that whole era is gone.
Well, the finals was created by Embark Studios with 100 people at its peak.
Okay.
Um,
Which is a lot less. I mean, that's literally, I think, 1/30th of
it
Bethesda,
is
for
and it
example.
yes, it is and it isn't, and that's where a proven point where less is more. But whenever you have way less than 100, let's say 40 developers, I don't think that you're going to be able to do things in a capacity that 100 devs would. Yeah, 100 is a nice little number, in my opinion. You're going to have enough developers for this department, that department, and so on and so forth. That's why the finals, can work on things and release patches and stuff like that as fast as they can. The finals is a great game. It really is, and I enjoy playing it. They listen to their community and all that stuff. Whereas, who knows? Maybe laying off 30% of the Activision team was the right move. Maybe it was just too many people and too much red tape to go through to be able to get anything done.
It very well could be, and like I said,
Time will tell.
yeah, it was more of like, it's very normal to see them kind of, like I said, trim the fat, like get rid of departments that were redundant now because Microsoft is owning it. But I think 30% is a bit extreme, but we'll see. We should see. Jaboon, you haven't talked for a while. What's up?
I haven't, man. You're right. I was kind of letting you guys finish it off, or not finish it off, but give your take. I'm gonna go ahead and give my take on it. It may be a little not controversial, but maybe it's just not the best take. I think with the whole layoffs and all that, I think it's kind of a good and bad thing because I think it says a lot about mismanaged, not managed very well resources. Because I feel like with them buying, I want to go back to them buying, Activision and all those companies for that $1 billion Phil Spencer. Um, he bought all these companies. You had Activision, Blizzard, all those companies that were originally independent or under, say, Activision, etc. They spent billions of dollars acquiring all these companies, and you see Sony doing it. You saw, I don't know if Nintendo did it. I don't know, but you saw PlayStation, you saw Xbox doing it. What are they doing with all these companies? Nothing. They still have their big top dogs making stuff, but they bought old companies like Toys for Bob, Rareware, all these companies, and they're sitting on the back burner. Like, where is the money going? You could be spending that on having actual good games come out and putting these companies to use that you just spent the billions of dollars on, and actually making a profit back, and then reallocating that back to your top dogs. That way you have better care, better customer service, all that kind of stuff. But they're not doing that. They just spend all that money and it's going up in the air. That 2 billion that they spent, or however much it was, I know it was a good couple billion, gone. And now that we see the layoffs, I think it's a lot of mismanaged staff. But I could be wrong because I know a good chunk of the team for Modern Warfare did get let go. We saw the big chunk of people for Destiny get let go at Bungie. I think a lot of it is from mismanaged resources and the lack of care from the main studios. That's
And
my opinion on it, though. Feel free to disagree.
no, that was a great take, Jabin. Thank you. One thing I'd like to toss into this actually is we do also want to consider the fact that with the height of COVID, it did bring in these companies got inflated. They got hyperinflated, in fact, where a lot of people, obviously we were all at home, lockdown and all that, and these companies had more demand, so they did hire a lot more remote and all that for that period of time. And now that period of time has passed, not saying COVID's over, I'm just saying that time has passed.
That big era, yeah.
Yeah, that big era's passed now. You don't have the same income. And we see this with Zoom, I think. I think Zoom now is starting to start layoffs because not that many people are using Zoom as they did when COVID was a thing. So it could also be a result of that. That could be playing into effect here as well. Is it as severe as like cutting however 30% or 80% of some studios? I don't know if it caused that much of a stir, but I think we should have that at least factored into account.
Yeah.
Finish it off with layoffs in the gaming industry, staff, all these issues that we have. You'll have that. I mean, it's another day in the industry, but the bigger it gets, who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah, you'll have that. Alrighty. Let's see here. So earlier I did talk about kind of this segue that I wanted to do, where it was about sunk cost fallacy, and a lot of things that are happening these days is with MMOs at least, is that they churn out the bare minimum, but they still keep a very high player base. And I think a very good example of this is World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft has consistently now been churning out expansions that are very lackluster. They're not listening to the community at all. Excuse me, not listening to the community at all. And it's just overall not a good product, in my opinion, and the opinion of a lot of people, the vast majority at least.
I don't know if it's the vast majority. I will say this. They're not listening to their old guard, to their old customer base.
Yeah, and then
their new customer base, because you got to think. So World of Warcraft has always been known for the player that has been around since day one, that has done all of this stuff, and if you don't have this certain gear with this certain mount, you can't go raiding. They can be a very, very toxic and stuff like that. Whereas now, they are retaining a large player base, and a lot of newcomers are starting to go to World of Warcraft for the new expansions and stuff like that, which classic WoW, I will say, helps maintain a good chunk of their player base as well. It's just they are getting new people, and I think a large number of the people that have the complaints and stuff like that are the old school players. Now, don't get me wrong, whenever I say the old school players, blah, 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 they should care about them too. They've been around, they've kept that subscription for how many ever years. But at the same time, companies do have to evolve to be able to get a new player base. I didn't play from day one. I remember whenever I first came in, it was very scary, kind of scary for me, because I didn't know what I was doing. The first guild that I joined was very toxic. They didn't like the fact that I didn't have certain gear, or I didn't know this certain skill or whatever, and kicked me out. So, yeah.
That's fair. So basically, ever since I think after Lich King, their sub number has been going down, and they're at their lowest so far. So I think that people are speaking with their wallets in terms of showing that they don't like the direction maybe that Blizzard's going. But overall, this is more of the sunk cost fallacy here is that people invested so much time since the beginning of WoW and vanilla and up to Lich King and so forth, that them seeing the light per se and being able to try different games is almost impossible because they've sunk in so much time into it that they just want to continually have it be a good game, and they want to play it because they want to have their achievements still be a thing. So what do you guys think of that? Like, should people start realizing that you don't have to keep playing an MMO just because you've always played it? It's you're wasting more time by not seeing other, like, the greener pastures per se. You're wasting time by not venturing out of your comfort zone. And I think a perfect example of this is actually Asmongold. He used to be completely just a WoW streamer. He never really enjoyed other games. It was just WoW, WoW, WoW. And then he started being a variety streamer, and then he now owns a publishing studio. So it just goes to show, like, it's okay to try other games, and you'll find a lot of games that you like. You might find
Well,
a
yeah.
genre that you like even.
Yeah, it is okay to try other games and stuff like that, but if you know that you enjoy this particular MMO and you're willing to try other MMOs as long as, they have this certain criteria, then I think that that's fine, but name me an MMO that has come out since World of Warcraft that checks all those boxes that World of Warcraft does. I haven't seen one yet.
Final Fantasy 14, Elder Scrolls Online, and
Elder Scrolls Online does not check all the boxes that World of Warcraft does.
which box does it not check?
In my opinion, it just doesn't. It really doesn't. The whole I didn't like it. I did not like Elder Scrolls Online as much as I did World of Warcraft. I just didn't.
And that's
You can
fine. I
call
mean,
me a fanboy, but no, it really didn't. Not only that, how many DLCs does Elder Scrolls Online have?
quite a few, a lot, yeah.
I will add on to that because I played Elder Scrolls Online. Sorry to cut you off, by the way.
Oh,
But
you did?
I played it for a little bit because I got into it with my uncle. He's a police officer, so he'd be around, he'd be up around the same times I was currently working third shift. Um, ESO is not a bad game by any means. Would I say it's a good MMO? No. Is it a good game? Sure. But I wouldn't play it as like an MMO. It's hard for me to go into ESO with an MMO mindset, especially as somebody who grew up playing World of Warcraft, and I've also played RuneScape, which I know I'm about to see Austin with a smile on his face for RuneScape. I've played a handful. I've been around a time or two with MMOs. I remember playing Burning Crusade, going through, what is it? Is it Burning Temple? I believe it's called. It's been a long time. It's like Black Temple, something like that. I
Blackwing
forget the
Lair or
exact name.
something, yeah.
Blackwing Lair, you have your Naxxramas, all that. Even though it's probably not the same expansion, I get it confused. I've played WoW for so long. I've done so much. It's hard for me to keep it all on track. But I think what a lot of people with the whole sunk cost fallacy, even with these short MMOs, like we saw New World come out. I know you can't really compare it; it's a newer game,
Bro,
but there's
New
a lot of
World?
people that are still playing it to this day. Because I think with a lot of streamers, especially now that we have the media that we do, and people influencing and saying oh, I'm gonna keep playing this game for as long as it takes. I'm always gonna make content for this game. Like we can look at a game like people are still playing EverQuest and making videos on EverQuest, but if that's what you want to play, go for it. But there's so many people that I think encourage, say, the 300 up to 50,000 people that watch the stream, even if they don't play that same game, all the time, that this is the game that you got to grow up with, this game that you got to die on this hill with. And I think people are too afraid of, if they don't, keep playing, say, World of Warcraft every day for their weekly resets, for every new patch, everything like that, that they're gonna miss out on everything, or that it's not gonna be the same game when they come back. That's not gonna be World of Warcraft. anything like that, which I think
Yeah.
is a bad way to look at it. These people are too afraid to branch out.
I don't know, because I played Guild Wars 1 for years and years and years, and it wasn't any of that. It wasn't FOMO or none of that stuff. I just genuinely enjoyed playing the game.
And I think,
It
yeah.
was the game that my friends and I liked to play. And once Guild Wars 2 came out, it was not the same game or anywhere near the same game. They charged us for it, and then they made it free and didn't give any money back, which left a sour, sour taste in the mouths of every original Guild Wars 1 player. And a lot of the originals don't play. There are plenty of new people that play Guild Wars 2 that enjoy Guild Wars 2. Personally, I don't. I think that they went very bubblegum, cookie cutter, safe for the 2020s.
Well, I think that kind of goes hand in hand with the FOMO thing that you brought up, and the fact that FOMO feeds into this sunk cost fallacy. There's limited time events and items that if you're not on, that's it, you missed it, and people feel like it's a requirement now to you gotta log in every week, you gotta do your dailies, you gotta pick up your
But
whatever
that's every
cosmetic
game
item or something.
nowadays. That's almost every game nowadays.
It is a lot of games, but I wouldn't say it's
Black
almost
Desert,
everyone.
Black Desert Online does it. RuneScape has been doing it since forever. World of Warcraft does it. Call of Duty does it. There's almost every mainstream game that is online multiplayer does that.
But that's not it's not an excuse to encourage it.
It's not an excuse to encourage it, no. But at the same time, until you can get all of these companies to agree to not do that, like, what other choice is there? Which I don't play off of that FOMO. I really don't. If I miss something, I miss it. Whatever.
And
It's
I'm
not
not
that big a
saying,
deal.
yeah, I'm not saying like it's necessarily bad to have it. I mean, I think there's a balance, right? So it's good to have items that you work towards that they're prestigious. Once you get it, like that's it. You can't get it again, or you like the time is over, whatever. It's a rare item. It gives players something to be proud of per se, right? But when it's overused, which I think now Call of Duty's definitely at fault here, where every week you have a skin or something that comes out and it will never come out again. Granted, it's an ugly skin, for example, but it's a limited time. You get it, whatever, a week, a month, whatever. After that, it'll never come out again. Things like that, but doing it repetitiously, like every week, I think that's extreme. That's forcing psychologically. That's forcing someone to want to always play the game at least once a week, whereas they're not just coming on to have a good time. They're coming on to grind out whatever, like for example, get 10 headshots or something. They're coming to grind out that. Where I think it should be more natural. And you brought up RuneScape, which is a good, that's a fair point. RuneScape has started to do that too. Within the last 5 years or so, they've really pushed it. But before that, the only really FOMO things they had was holiday items, which I think holiday items were actually a good way to do FOMO because it's very fun, it's festive, it's not grindy or anything, and it was something almost you could make a tradition every year. For example, it feels like the Christmas event. Every year that could just be your thing. You could just do the RuneScape Christmas event and get your little thing. Whereas I think by doing it like almost every week, which they've started doing now and stuff with the treasure hunter stuff and all that, and Call of Duty, I think that's a bit more malicious and almost playing off of people's psyche and wanting them to like almost activate like a gambling sort of itch per se.
I mean, you could say that, but like Call of Duty, its weekly thing is skins. That's it, and the skins 9 times out of 10 suck.
I know I did say that the skin sucked, but
I really don't see too many people focusing too hard on being on there to grind that out every week. Granted, I do because it's something to do. but that's not a large player base. Like everybody that I play with could care less about their weekly challenges on Call of Duty. So
Until they add
that,
a skin that's really nice, and then people have 1 week, and then after that week, you're out of luck. Then it's a problem. That's
I
I'm
mean,
talking about the main idea behind it, not really the skin. Because I know the skins right now suck. They're not like that crazy. But if they
no.
do throw in like a really cool skin that everyone wants.
Which I doubt that they will, because they're going to save those really cool skins that everybody wants for the store.
That's a fair, yeah.
For that
That's
microtransaction.
very fair point.
I'm gonna give I guess I'm gonna try to steer back to the whole sunk cost fallacy with the MMOs, and I'm gonna give my whole take on it, like the full ordeal. I don't know how to word it. I'm bad with words, but I'm not bad with my opinions sometimes. I think with the whole MMOs dominating the market that are still big to this day, I think a lot of it is people that either treat an MMO like it's their job, which unfortunately a lot of people do these days. Disney.
Right.
Um,
Absolutely.
not to diss anybody who plays Destiny. I've been there. I did that for many years of my life. But a lot of these, MMOs or people playing them these days, unless I think it's a game like Final Fantasy or something new coming out that's fresh and different for the market. I think it's just a matter of people are treating it like it's their job or it's the only thing that they know, or I can't remember the last time I did a raid with my friends in an MMO or anything like that, and they had it's not like they were having fun. It didn't. It's not like they were treating oh, it's just another thing I'm doing this week. Oh, I gotta go hop on and go do Ice Crown Citadel again. God, man.
Yeah.
I remember back when I played MMOs, we were all excited when new content came out or whenever we could just go run another raid. Or just even doing dungeons together. I don't think a lot of people have fun anymore.
Or back whenever we were all on Destiny 2, and every single weekend I'd be all like,
It was
great,
Vault
we've
of
got to grind
Glass.
out Vault of freaking Glass for the 1000th time. No, don't want to do that. Now, back in the day, whenever I remember the Diablo 2 days. So, and granted, they didn't have raids, but hey, I played that game for years religiously, and I had fun every time I booted it up. Guild Wars 1. Played it for years, had fun every time I booted it up. Got to hang out with friends, stuff like that. World of Warcraft, I had fun, yes, but I didn't have too many friends that actually played that, because that was still in the era where people were all like, why am I going to pay for this game and pay for a subscription to be able to play this game?
Right.
And I kind of still hold that mentality. That's why I don't have a World of Warcraft subscription now. That's why I don't play it. Is because I've bought the game, and now you want me to pay $10 a month to continue to play it.
Right.
Good.
Right.
I think to end off with the sunk cost fallacy, I think another big thing is we're still in a subscription base for MMOs. I think when New World came out for the little time that it did and it blew up, I think the fact that it was you purchased it once and you had the game, you didn't have to pay every month unless I think it was for extra goodies that you didn't need, by the way, completely optional. I think if MMOs weren't a monthly, still fee, and people could buy it once and then come back to it whenever they feel like it without having to renew that subscription or feel like they're on a time gate, I think that we wouldn't be in that position with the whole sunk cost fallacy.
Mhm.
That's
There's
actually a
FOMO.
really good point. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's FOMO with subscriptions and game, items at times, especially subscriptions. The reason why games like Destiny are as popular as they are, and New World when it did come out or when it came out was because you're not paying every month. You pay for that expansion for the base game. Pick it up whenever you want. You can do it whenever you want. The only
Well,
FOMO is seasonal content or
I
limited
think
time.
I think that's why they do FOMO, is to be able to keep player retention. Period. To give the player a reason in their mind to continue to pay for that subscription.
I think something Jaboon was
Period.
hinting at here that was actually really clever is the fact that when you're paying for a sub and the game and expansions, that sub is adding the stressor of you have to get things done because your money is being used. You're paying for this time, so you want to use it the most efficient way possible, and that takes all the relaxing and
It
just
takes the fun out of it.
it takes the fun out of it. It almost like it's a job. Like, okay, I'm paying $15 this month. I really need to get this gear. I have a month, so I really want to get this gear within this time period. You can only do the raid. What we have a once a week lockout, right? I'm pretty sure.
I think it's like a once a week, and
Yeah.
sure you can go make alt characters, but the casual player is not going to go sit there and make 10 different alts and gear out 10 different alts.
Exactly. Not
Just
everyone
for that
enjoys
extra
that.
mount chance.
Exactly. Not everyone enjoys that. Yeah.
Sorry if I cut you off.
No, you're
but
good. You're good.
My coworker Justin that I work with, the reason why like I even bring up the whole subscription thing is when we were talking about this, we had the whole back in the day WoW was so much better kind of discussion. If he would tell me, if I buy a sub, I'm planning out my subs, and I'm like, I can't imagine doing that. But it's like he told me, I'm spending $15 on a 30-day subscription. I want to make the most out of that $15, which I completely get.
Yeah.
But I think that's how a lot of people are thinking and spending their time. That's why these MMOs are still so popular. They're still having, the recognition that they do is because the people that are grinding them and playing them, they treat it like it's a job. Like there's no fun in it when you treat it like it's like it's another job.
And it just increases toxic behavior. It increases that whole. I mean, the WoW community pretty much. Exactly that behavior. You mess up one thing in a raid and you're out, and that's it. Done.
No.
They're never inviting you again.
I mean, not only that, you're asking people. We are in a world where a dozen of eggs costs $4.82 standard, and you're asking people to pay $15 a month.
Which, with the way things are, it's probably going to go up. It's probably going to even get more. Yeah.
Right, to play your game that they already spent anywhere between $50 to $70 to play.
Yep.
So, and you want even more money on top of that, and then on top of that, you want to lock things behind paywalls, lock things behind micro purchases, and stuff like that. Like you're asking too much, and then you also want 10 million subscribers player retention as well. Like
come on,
you're gonna drive your whole game into the ground, period. Again, going back to a previous episode, Hulu, Disney Plus, HBO Max, all of the streaming services are doing the exact same thing. You are going to price out your entire customer base.
Yeah, you'll have that.
We'll have that.
Sure will.
Which is actually a really great segue to publishers now are raising the prices of games from $69.99, which was just recently in the last 2 or 3 years that was the standard, thanks to Activision or EA, whatever it was. Now they're thinking
probably.
about probably both. Now we're looking at $80 to $100 for a base game. What do you think about that?
Wait.
I
know
think
you did not just say 80 to 100. Hold up.
Yeah.
80 to 100. Rockstar is saying that GTA 6 is taking.
It's going to be $100.
Is it costs too much, or sorry, it takes too much effort for them to only release it at $69.99. So they're going to do $100, $100 USD.
I won't be buying GTA 6.
If that's their stance on
I'll wait till it goes
their
on
price
sale.
if that's their stance on the price of the game, that it takes too much effort, my guy, I'm not buying your game. I'm sorry. It could be the best GTA in the whole series.
Mhm.
It could be the best open world game that has been released in over a decade or two. I'm not buying it. You guys have had 10 years, 11 years to show us teasers for this game, to develop this game, to work on this game.
Yep.
We only just got a trailer now. Because you know what you guys did? You sat here and you kept trying to sell shark cards. You kept updating GTA 5. And then you want people to pay
Abandoned Red Dead 2.
And then that was I love Red Dead 2. I
I
actually
love
really
it
like the
too.
multiplayer. Like
It's so good. It's such a shame.
then
Such a shame.
I liked it as well, but they didn't have enough in the multiplayer for Red Dead 2 to keep people engaged.
great.
That was the thing. And then again, Red Dead 2 started getting plagued with mod menus. Just like GTA 6 did.
I think it was less severe, but yeah.
It was less severe, yes, but it did start getting plagued with mod menus.
But then you have the audacity to ask us to spend $80 to $100 because it takes too much effort. No, that's not happening, dude.
And you know, forgive me, it might not be Rockstar, it might be Take-Two Interactive, their publisher. Whoever it is, they're still crazy. I mean, this is insanity. You're in a recession. People are struggling, as Twiz said here. People are struggling to get eggs and food, essentials, because the prices are so insanely high. And you're wanting to increase your game by $30 because it took you 10 years or 60, whatever the heck.
Already the
No.
increase from 60 to 70 was a punch.
A big jump.
Yeah, that was a huge punch. Yeah.
You know, because you got to think prior to the increase of games, you paid about $30, and that was up here. You may have paid 50 for a bundle pack with all of the DLCs.
Mhm.
Matter of fact, I think Diablo 2 was $40, and that included all 3 DLCs. $40. You could buy the original base game for 20. All right. That stayed the standard for years and years and years, like 10 plus years.
Right.
So then we seen the jump from that to $50, right? And I believe that was like right around Xbox 360 those days.
I think so.
So we
Around
saw
there.
that jump. We saw that jump,
Yeah.
and people didn't like it, but you know, hey, it is what it is. Everybody
still
got used to
affordable.
it. Everybody got used to it. Within 4 years, we seen the jump from $50 to $60. Within 2 years, 60 to 70. And now within a year and a half, I believe, they're already talking from 70 to 80, possibly even $100, which GTA 6 has already announced that it'll drop it $100 base game.
Yeah, that's just too much too fast. That's insane.
I'm sorry, but Take-Two, you can't be starving that much for income to the point where you have to raise it up almost another $10. Like,
No.
you guys have done everything you can the past 10 or so years, aside from re-releasing like an old, good game like Bully. Or I know you can't do Manhunt. That's fair. That was a pretty brutal game. But
They're a $28.39 billion company. There's no reason why you should be asking for $100 for a base game.
What is
Period.
it, the indie
And
company?
who is talking about Manhunt was too much of a brutal game to be able to create?
Let me rephrase.
That's what I mean about
I
all
liked
these.
Manhunt a lot.
Oh,
That
I
was
love
probably one of my
Manhunt.
favorite Rockstar games. Even though
I
it's a very
played-
brutal game, it's a good game. Like there's a lot of
Absolutely.
attention to detail. But because of how sensitive the media and shit is today, pardon my French, that would never
People
fly
need to
in
get
today's
over.
standards.
People
They
need to get
do.
over their sensitivities. I am tired of bubblegum video games. I really am. All right. Okay. You talk about, and here's the thing. Manhunt is too brutal. All right. I guess because it's a video game. Meanwhile, Game of Thrones can show in, I believe it was season 4, Oberyn Martell's head getting squished like a grape by the mountain, and you literally showed his head just splat.
So
Really?
before you go on, those are two different things. So you have the ESRB, I think, is what rates games, and then for television, it's something else, I think. And there's also different rules. So
I don't.
Yeah, but no.
Care.
Rockstar-
It's still the same thing. Media is media. Period.
That's the thing. I want to add on what Wiz is saying there. I get it. TV, games, two different things. Sure, I can agree with you on that. but it is still distributable media. It is still interactable media. The whole thing is like, why is it okay for, say, lewd acts or things like that to be okay, in TV or a movie
On mainstream TV.
on mainstream where people can see, as long as their parental guardian or the
Not
average
even that.
consumer,
Not even
people
that.
can get access to it easily.
Better yet, Jaboon. Hold on. How about this one? We'll go from HBO and go all the way down to what was they're not it's not the WB, it's I can't remember what channel Criminal Minds came on. But
It
you
was
got
on,
Criminal Minds out here talking about serial killers and all the crazy shit that they do. And showing that.
I'd like to preface, I wasn't defending or saying that there should be
Oh no,
any
we weren't thinking you
censorship.
were.
No, I'm not saying that.
I was
either.
just
I'm
explaining
saying-
that they're two different things, and that's possibly why that it's more
and that's all-
heavily.
and that's all. That's
censored.
all well and good, but there's a reason why video games come with a label that says mature, 16 plus or 18 plus,
17
and
plus.
and 17 plus. Guess whose fault it is? Whenever little Timmy gets a hold of the video game and starts playing it, that's mom and dad's fault because they don't want to take care of their kid. All right,
That's fair.
So don't be coming at the video game industry because your kid can't define reality from fiction. All right?
That's very fair.
All right, I want to kind of steer us back on topic. WhatsApp. I do kind of want to write that one down. That's actually a very good topic for the next episode. Like, we can kind of talk about, like, I don't know, just how video games and the parents, or just people like to blame video games in general for IRL
Anything,
acts, or, real
right.
anything that they can. They want to blame the video games. That's a very good topic for the next episode. But to kind of steer us back with the whole, manhunt and games
Got
like
me
that.
over here
not come
playing
back up.
cartoons.
Yeah, no. But it's just a matter of, these companies are not desperate they're desperate for money, even though they have more than enough. And it's like, how much more do you need? There's no way that this is going to be the best thing ever to work. You need $100. I'm sorry. $100 for a collector's edition is already kind of steep. But to pay $100 for like a base game, GTA 6 isn't going to have DLC at launch, anything like that. At least I don't think so. That's ridiculous, dude.
Nah, yeah,
And,
that's
and to kind of, because you and Twiz, we talked
The
about
only, sorry, not to cut you off. The only way that I would be willing to pay $100 for GTA 6 is if they come out with an announcement guaranteeing that when you buy GTA 6, every single DLC is free, and that there will be at least 7 DLCs, because we all know Rockstar Games takes their sweet ass time developing these games. All right, you're talking about a decade, a little over a decade before you see the next GTA game. All right, well then guarantee me that I ain't gonna have to spend no money. And matter of fact, guarantee me I'm not gonna get hit at the menu with wanting me to buy a fucking shark card. How about that?
Now, I
That's
will
completely
say,
fair, dude.
I will say they have kind of proved themselves with GTA 5, because not besides the shark card thing, they have released a lot of DLC for free on online. I mean, you can't argue
Okay,
that.
They did, but it's how they made
But
up.
brother,
for
that's
that money.
online.
Yeah,
And online's fine. Everybody has an internet connection these days. It is what it is. But yes, they gave us DLCs, but everything in those DLCs were priced out so exorbitantly high. If you didn't buy a shark card, you had to have a mod menu, because the regular ass missions they gave you, you would never obtain the stuff that they were trying to sell in those DLCs. The vehicles, the guns, all of this stuff. No.
Because the
That's
drop
fair.
rates and the money like that you get from the heist were abysmally low.
right.
Abysmal.
But to kind of keep talking about, like, I guess, like, the price tags, we all talked about this in the last episode. Not price tags, but it's kind of a similar situation where, like, the Ubisoft, like, it was either had exec or a dev said that you need to get comfortable kind of with you have to get comfortable with subscriptions.
Right.
basis like games to kind of for it to take off.
Well, another company came out and said you might as well get comfortable paying $100 per video game.
And that's the problem, is that all these big companies are trying to normalize it, and
Well,
nobody is saying anything against it.
I love how multi-million-dollar CEOs are telling me what I need and need not to get comfortable with.
Exactly, that's the problem. Like, what trying to decide what we use our wallets on. Like,
And then they wonder why the middle and lower class are out here screaming "Eat the rich."
yeah,
Yep. Well, you'll have that.
you'll have that. That's actually a great segment, though, if you don't mind. I kind of want to get it into video game piracy on the topic of the whole game prices, because with games becoming $80 to $100 now, what's gonna stop old Joe Schmo, typical, Ryan working for the cable company who's not making, say, past 12, $15 an hour. Just an example. What's not stopping him from buying a VPN and going to sail the seas? Which you shouldn't do. I'm gonna say you shouldn't do. Don't do this.
I'll tell you what's stopping him.
Please don't go ahead and go pirate a game. Don't do that. That's not good.
I'll tell you what's going to stop him. The fact that all games now have to have an
Online
internet connection.
Yeah.
And
that's
why these companies have gotten so ballsy to tell you get used to paying $100, because they know that it's harder and harder for you to pirate video games because of that online connection, because you have to connect to their servers and stuff like that. That's why.
I mean,
fair enough.
If we look at a prime example of the day before, that game is lost to history. You can't even boot it up or do anything with it. So
it got refunded, right? I think it got refunded.
It did get refunded, but even if you couldn't, or even if you didn't, even if somehow you still have the files, the servers themselves are offline, so you can't even do anything.
Online.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So, excellent point. I mean, so on one point, the pendulum swings in both ways here, because on one side you have the fact that this is the way they're increasing their prices and driving people more and more to either not play or not pay, excuse me, or to pirate. The more you drive them to do that, the less money you're getting as a company. So you're driving your consumers away to piracy. And then on the other hand, your games are forced to be online because of this. So you're having to invest in this technology, upkeep this technology, and games are their lifespan is limited now. They have a finite lifespan. You can't just buy a game and play it in another 5 years. You have to hope that the servers are still on, and that might deter even more people. So it's kind of like a double whammy. It's a double negative for the consumer, I think.
It's a double negative, and it's double-edged sword for the company. I will agree with you on that. My whole thing with it is just like they're raising prices. They want people to spend $100, $80, $70. We're getting to the point where, with inflation and all these things going on in the world, people that are trying to pay bills and make sure that they still have lights on in their house, they're not going to be able to afford that $70, $80 price tag. But they have the hardware to run these games. They want to play these games. If it was under any other circumstances, they would buy this game. But with all the negative press they hear about it, with all the things that are going on, it's like we don't even have game demos anymore for people to try a game before they buy it. And I think that's with how the industry is kind of going downhill with, the care for the customer, the product, the prices, things actually working out of the box, all these different factors. People are just going to pirate.
Yep, I'm going to put my tinfoil hat on, and I'm going to say this, all right? So if every game comes out and it's online, piracy is not an option. They're going to try to charge $100 per video game, which is going to open the door for the industries to be like, you know what? You don't want to pay $100 for the video game? Here's a streaming service. For $10, $20, $30 a month, you have access to all of these games, and you don't have to pay $100 a month. And then you're going to be locked into that until they outprice you on that.
Well, that's my big issue, is I feel like it's taking away the product from the consumer. I feel like the only way you really own these games anymore is if they're either non-online services, because like we keep talking about it, they keep locking things behind online or behind paywalls,
Yep.
things like that. And it's getting to a point where you don't really even own your game anymore unless like,
Well, you
you
can't,
sell a 7Cs or you bought a physical copy.
again, like, in my opinion, unless you're buying or unless you're pirating games that are, you know, 5 to 10 years old, you can't even do that on single player games because you have to connect to the internet for an update, for a patch or something like that. Otherwise, the game won't run.
I've heard
Or-
from a friend that you can still do that. And even games that are multiplayer, there are certain ways,
Workarounds.
certain workarounds. Now it's gonna be janky, first of all, and it's definitely not gonna be like with people on the live servers per se. There's still workarounds currently, but with how much these companies are investing in this technology, we don't know how long that'll last for. Let alone if it's even viable in the future. So
Which irritates me because if they can invest so much money into making sure that a few people doesn't pirate their games, meanwhile they can't invest enough money to make sure that people aren't cheating on their online games.
exactly.
just my whole thing with it is, it's gonna mess with game preservation. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Personally, if they want to go up to $100 a game, and that's that, and they want to keep their standards as low as they are, then they deserve to have the game pirated from them. Period.
If you're gonna make a game, like a price of the fifth of a current gen console, at least to make that product worth it, or where you can semi justify spending $100. Don't be doing this crap where you're giving people an unfinished product anymore, where you're paying pretty much full price game for a beta. Not even a beta. Beta is a compliment. For early access alpha of a game, or something that's riddled with bugs, even if it's complete. Like, I hate to bring up Baldur's Gate. I feel like people have talked about it to death, but that game is $60. Loads of content
and fantastic.
Worth
and
every
fantastic.
penny.
Fantastic game. And even Hogwarts Legacy, yes, I want to see more. I want to see more to that game. But even Hogwarts Legacy, beautiful game at launch.
It's jam packed
Polished.
with content. I mean, there's a lot of things to
Polished.
do. Yeah.
It was beautiful. Beautiful game, worth every penny. So yeah, you wanna charge these absorbent amounts. Don't give me an unpolished piece of shit that can barely run, that's got bugs where bosses are stuck in elevators and can't even hit you. Cyberpunk. And stuff like that. And
We can't keep harping on Cyberpunk. We can't keep harping on it. They fixed it now. They fixed it.
Yeah, they fixed it, but it took them a
That's
month.
still like 2 or 3 years
by the
down line.
by the time they fixed it, I had already beat the game.
And they'd come out with the DLC. But to finish my opinion on it, I think if you're gonna charge us $100, I know I keep repeating it. If you're gonna charge like that 80 to 100 price tag, if you're going to make people want to sell the 7Cs for your product, if they have the chance to, like, you don't have to raise these prices. People will pay good money for a good game. But the more you keep raising the prices, the more you keep treating your consumer like dogs, people are gonna go and not want to spend money on your product, and they will go take very, not so legitimate means of obtaining your product.
Or not even do that.
Not even
just
not even play it
it
at all. Exactly.
I
Like,
mean,
You're just driving away the consumer at that point.
Let's not get it twisted. It's 2024 and people are fucking jaded. So they are absolutely willing to not play your game, period. So there are plenty of people like that, more so than what would pirate it.
Just don't be locking no features behind paywalls. Don't be.
Oh, that's another segue right there.
Yeah, we're about to segue.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and give up a little. Everybody say it with me. As far as piracy goes,
You'll have that.
Sure
But
will.
on the topic of video game piracy, the downfall of the industry, you guys both know I'm a total like your Yakuza or Like a Dragon nerd.
I am too.
I
I'm with you. I gotta finish
I got this boy hooked right here.
He converted me.
I'm, pardon my French, I fucking love this. It has great bang for buck. Yakuza 0, one of my favorite games of all time. That game, you can go get it for $20 right now, and it has over like 100 to 200 hours worth of side content or just content in general. It's a good game. These games always are jam-packed with extra things to do, a great story, great gameplay. They knocked it out of the park with this, this series. And their newest release, which I've been enjoying a lot, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, which is in the turn-based style. It's one of it's their latest game.
Mm-hmm.
Over the years, Yakuza, great game, has had a lot of good content that you don't have to pay for DLC for or pay extra for. And even when it did come out, which was Yakuza 7 in 2020, the only like real side or things you could pay for were just like either cosmetics for your characters, which you don't need at all, not required at all, or it's just purely optional stuff that doesn't matter. But we're getting to a point where these big publishers, which I've noticed with this game, and I was actually really upset because this has been a staple in the games for years. They're locking New Game Plus behind you buying the deluxe edition or a $20 paywall, and that's just kind of bullshit. And I want to know what you guys think about that. We're locking behind like a single player games, to replay the game with your stuff that you grinded like 50, 60 hours for behind a paywall or deluxe edition. Like, what do you guys think about that?
I think it's bullshit, but it was just a matter of time before they did.
I think that says a lot.
Yeah, I think it's absurd. It's crazy, and the fact that like for someone that's played the Yakuza series or Like a Dragon, etc. That New Game Plus is a pretty big deal. That's when you unlock the most extreme difficulty, and you can use certain things that you couldn't before, like having custom suits and stuff. It's a big part of the game. It adds more content, and it's a part of the game. It's a base, like it should be a base part of that game. But yeah, adding a paywall to that is absurd. How low can you go? Like, are we gonna add a paywall now for every character save? Which I think that happened with a different game. What game was that it happened with before?
I don't know.
There is a game that you had to pay for more character saves. But anyways, regardless of the point, how basic of a feature are we gonna start charging for? I do remember there's an executive that was talking about charging people to pay real money for reloading a gun in a game. And I
remember hearing about that. I don't remember the exact game, but I was like,
yeah. So imagine it getting so granular to the point where that's actually a thing that could happen. That's just insane to me.
And this is why I don't like mobile games from like Google Play and shit like that, because that is the scummy shit that they pull right there. Oh, you wanna speed up this building's to build this building?
$14.99.
Pay me money to get this pack of speed ups, right? Oh, you wanna add to your army or whatever? Pay me money. And it's just so fucking just chipping away, chip at your consumer base, that like people are not gonna have enough money to do this. Like, what do you mean? Pay me money to reload your gun.
Thankfully, that has not happened in the game yet, but it was a discussion where I don't know if it was. I think it was an executive that talked about it, but it was just a discussion, and it was insane to me like that would happen. I know, like, another thing we could talk about here is I'm drawing a blank. Jabun, take over. I'll think about it again.
To get back on the topic with whole, Yakuza / Like a Dragon charging, I want to point out this is a $70 game, like base, right? Let me go ahead and make sure because I own the game.
It is.
It's a $70 game at base, which fair enough. But then was it the deluxe edition is $84.99, so that's already an extra $15 to get the
New Game
to
Plus.
just get the ability to have New Game Plus. And if you don't buy the deluxe edition or the ultimate edition to get it, you want to know how much it is to get it like just on the side? $20, not including tax. That's just $20 on its own. And of course, the community is talking about it a bunch.
Yeah, that's terrible.
And I don't even see like how you can think that's okay. And I don't think that's like the studio wanting to do that, right? I don't think that's like RGG. I could be completely wrong. I mean, we've seen that case with Bungie before where we all thought that, oh, Activision were the bad guys, that they were behind all the bad monetary things with Destiny. And then we see them split and they're their own company, and then bam, it just got worse. So I could be completely wrong on that, but it just makes you wonder, like, how bad is it gonna get? Like, it's just like you said, how basic of a thing can we charge for in a not to mention single player game? This isn't like a, you know, you go play a co-op of friends or anything like that. This is a completely single player RPG experience pretty much because of how the game is structured, how the game is. And it's a very grindy game too. So to have to pay $20 to take all that stuff that you spent, let's say, because the game, I think this is like their biggest game yet. I remember seeing an estimate of how long it would take to complete it, like 100% everything, almost 300 hours, which is a lot of content, a lot of things to do in a single player game.
Yeah.
Hey, give me just a sec. I'll call you back in a minute. Okay. All right. Sorry about that. But single player game, locking the most basic feature that has been a staple in these kinds of games from what I can remember all the way back in, you know, the early 2000s. Like,
yeah.
New Game Plus with games like, you know, Zelda, Wind Waker, all these games, even, you know, Ratchet and Clank. I remember playing all these games on the PS2 where Resident Evil, like, imagine if you had to pay like $5.90 or like $4.99 every time you want to use an ink ribbon in Resident Evil, bro.
Right. Yeah,
that's like my whole thing is just these are simple things.
Oh, I was mad enough that I couldn't find enough ink ribbons in Resident Evil and Resident
And then
Evil
imagine
2.
having to pay to use one every time you found one. Like, I wouldn't even play the game anymore. It's just, is this gonna become normal in the industry? Like,
that's why I don't play. That's why I don't play mobile games.
That's another thing I want to touch on.
I will not play a mobile game. I think that, you know, whenever I see people that play mobile games that pay all this money for this, whatever their new trend is, back in the day, the first ones I really saw was like Angry Birds and Candy Crush.
Clash of Clans was a big one.
Clash of Clans was a big one. But no, whenever I seen people doing this and then I seen them paying, I no offense to anyone, I just thought in my head how stupid.
Like, these people are
just so you can play this on your phone to pop candy or bubbles or what. Another one was Bubble Witch. I had a cousin that played the crap out of Bubble Witch, and she would pay a lot of money throughout the month to be able to pop bubbles. So yeah, you'll have some people that are sick that'll pay you.
I do think it's preying off some sort of like gambling psyche or something with the human brain, where it's like an addiction. It's an addictive thing. And but see, the thing is, we've deterred with specifically with like a dragon. We've kind of actually are away from that now, and New Game Plus isn't even addictive. It's not an addiction thing. It's literally a basic game function. So it's like, what are you playing off of there?
Well, yeah, it's because, all right, they've preyed off of the addictive side of people's personalities. Now they want to get your normal average person to pay that extra money so that they can complete this game.
Yeah.
Because you do have completionists.
Yeah, I was going to point that out,
cannot
actually.
stand not completing.
Jaboon, I think you're an expert on this one because you are a completionist.
An expert. I have 100% of Yakuza 0, Yakuza Kiwami 2. But they're like with Yakuza 0 and the other games that have that extra hard, you know, that harder difficulty. There's actually an achievement, or in the completionist list, which if you've noticed, Austin, you've played them. They have a completionist list in game where you can see how much you've done.
Mm-hmm.
One of the achievements for multiple of the games, if not all of them, was beating the game on that difficulty. And if Yakuza or Infinite Wealth has that, and then that's locked behind a paywall,
That's
how
what they're
terrible
preying
is that?
on.
That's
That's it.
exactly. Why am I being like $20 just to be able to complete a game? Like achievement wise, sure, you don't have to do it. There's not a lot of people that want to do that, but there are people that, if they're paying for that product, this is something they've been comfortable with for years, or comfortable with. Sorry, pardon my bad English.
Okay.
Why would you take that away from your consumer? Like, it's messed up. And to kind of stay on the topic but go off a little bit, I personally think that EA and Genshin Impact, especially Genshin Impact, I think like when those games became really popular on PC,
Mm-hmm.
I think they normalized that. I'm gonna be real with you right now, that they normalized this whole, trying to put a paywall on just even doing like
pay me.
pay me,
Yep.
pay me.
And
And
which, don't get me wrong, it's a big thing in the Asian countries and stuff like that.
I was about to bring that up. Yeah.
Are locked behind paywalls and microtransactions and this and that and the other, and that's all well and good. Asian countries, if and their people, if that's what y'all want to do over there, that's fine. But whenever you're trying to bring it to an American industry, I think it's A, scummy, and B, you're going to get a lot of pushback pretty soon.
I'd like to bring a specific example. I know with a lot of Asian-centric games, they have sort of like a energy system where you play the game for a certain amount of time, it refills over time, and it's kind of to deter. Its original intent was for the Chinese. I think the CCP actually kind of did this, where it was deterring people from essentially being couch potatoes and just gaming all day. But I think that kind of normalized it a little bit in Asian culture and turned it into more of another system where they could charge you. So in Black Desert Online, you have energy and it recharges over time. I don't know off the top of my head. I'm not too knowledgeable if you can pay to have that renew. But that's another thing where like you simply can't do anything else. You can't run quests or whatever because it costs energy. And it's paywalled essentially, or you have to just wait, so it's an inconvenience. And I think that's a very common thing we're seeing now is games are selling or solutions to inconveniences. Like for example,
solutions to the problems they created.
Exactly, like a Dragon, they didn't need to have New Game Plus behind a paywall, but it's another avenue of income. So
another thing with that too. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
With it, they also, in that $20 bundle for the New Game Plus, there's like an end game grinding or dungeon to grind and extra things, and it's like you didn't have to do this. That's the whole thing with like Genshin and all these companies. You didn't have to do that.
Right.
You could have made these things accessible to the consumer and still introduce things that'll make them want to spend that extra money, and it be a more enjoyable experience with them spending that money.
Yep.
But you've created your own problems, and you were selling solutions to that problem. Like another example with is like Fallout 76, and I keep bringing up Fallout 76. I think I've brought it up in almost every and not every episode.
Right.
What is it? With the repair kits in Fallout 76.
Yeah.
I think you remember this. They sold that, and they would sell them for actual money.
Yeah.
Because you couldn't. I don't think you could repair like some of your weapons without having those repair kits.
The repair kits allowed you to repair them mobily, or else you had to go to your base.
You had to go to their station.
Yeah, exactly.
And it wasn't like that in other games, like the Fallout games. You could just while you're walking, you had an extra one, or you had a kit, repaired it yourself.
Yep.
They made a problem, and then they sold you the solution for that problem. And I'm tired of companies getting comfortable with selling you things that were originally a core thing in the game or a staple in the industry.
Likewise.
We need to stop monetizing what was a normal and a full price game back in the day.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
So as an answer to your question about BDO Online and being able to regain energy, yes, you have to purchase coins and then go and purchase the the crafting items, then
Ah,
craft it. But yes, you can pay to regain your energy in Black
okay.
Desert.
Wow. Well, there you go. I mean, you'll have that, yeah.
You will
You
have that,
sure will.
unfortunately.
And that segues into something I want to talk about here, kind of off the rails a little bit. But what do we think about these companies basically selling currencies on top of currencies to obfuscate the real value of them? So instead of just having a dollar amount, you have to buy this currency to convert it to that currency to convert it to that. Or, for example, Call of Duty, you have Call of Duty points. Well, okay, we have Call of Duty points that you can earn from the Battle Pass. You can have Call of Duty points that you buy. I know in the World of Warcraft you have I forgot actually what they even use. There's like 8 different currencies. Gold. Well, no, I'm talking about like the currency you buy. Um, is it just dollars or is there
No, it's tokens.
tokens? Okay,
It's tokens.
there you
the
go.
tokens.
Tokens.
And then you have Overwatch with the Overwatch League tokens too.
Yeah.
Well, no,
and-
I have a problem with it all. Like, I think if you're going to create a game that has an in-game currency, you should only be able to get that currency in the game. Period. You should not be able to buy it. You shouldn't be buying mounts. You shouldn't be. A lot of people are fine with the cosmetics. I'm not even fine with the cosmetics.
I'm gonna have some pushback on that. I kind of agree with you. I don't think everyone says cosmetics as transactions is fine. It's fine. But you gotta realize, okay, for someone that finishes the game or their end game, the cosmetics are the end game. That's what they focus on. For example,
That's what I played. Guild Wars. Sorry to cut you off, but
No,
Guild
you're good.
Wars.
yeah,
Every single cosmetic in that game, to my knowledge, that everybody sought after, was obtainable in the game.
okay, and then
one-
Guild Wars 2, for example, I know that mounts is a big thing with that game. Having like very rare cool mounts is very prestigious and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
people say like DLC buyable cosmetics, like I understand it, and yes, I prefer to have cosmetics that are purchasable versus, a core mechanic of the game or something that gives you a power boost or something. Yes, I mean, the lesser of two evils, sure. But in the same at the same time, I don't know. I feel like
I'm kind of tired. I'm kind of tired of choosing between the lesser of two evils.
exactly.
Give me both.
You play Warframe, right? You've pretty much maxed out every weapon, etc., etc. What is the end goal? Fashion frame. You just you make your character look the coolest. RuneScape. You maxed out. Guess what? You're probably working on getting cosmetics and some rare item. Jaboon. I'm sure you could come up with something too.
Well, here, I can give my take on the whole cosmetics and all that.
Yeah.
You want to sell like something that isn't obtainable through gameplay. I'm used to that. I hate it, but it's become a normal in the industry. My issue becomes like when you're selling store mounts or selling reskins of end game armor
Yeah.
or just in general cosmetics that you originally had to grind for or anything like that.
Right.
And then we're selling that for like 10, 25 bucks in the store. It's one thing if you're making something completely new and you want it to be a purely store or cash shop purchase, but when you're sitting there selling things that originally you could only get through doing the hardest content in the game or through certain events immediately for $14.99, 25 bucks, that's where I have a problem. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of these are, is it's either reselling old stuff or reselling things that you could grind in game as just a different color palette. And that's not okay.
Absolutely.
I think it's disgusting that that's becoming normalized. I think that there needs to be some sort of pushback on that because it's becoming normal.
Yeah.
Again, it's the whole thing with like the whole pricing in-game features that were originally a staple of the original games. Why is this becoming the normal? I get like, they want money. Everybody wants money. I completely
Well,
get
that's
it.
why, because money.
Well, I'm saying I get they need money, but
And
it's just,
at the end of the day, none of us like it. There's a lot of gamers that don't like it either, and until we do something as far as our wallets and just not purchase the games that are doing this, it's going to continue to happen.
I think that there should be some legislation or some government stepping in here for the in-game currency part of it, because
That's a
with Diablo,
slippery
for
slope.
example, it's not, because with Diablo, you earned, so from getting the battle pass, right, it gave you enough money in the game to have, I think you were, no, sorry, so getting the battle pass, finishing it completely, and then getting the next battle pass and finishing that, you were 2 coins short of getting a free battle pass for the third one.
Mhm.
2 coins.
Mhm.
And it's like, why don't we just put a USD value on all this in-game currency crap? We really should, instead of having it be these different currencies that are always, I mean, they're always marked to where you're gonna have either leftover or just under what you want for something else. So you're gonna buy this one thing, and you're gonna have just below what the other thing costs. I think that obfuscation is a big issue, and it's very predatory. And it doesn't help anyone. It's literally, there's no benefit to it. There's no advantage.
Here's my verdict. I agree with you. There needs to be some sort of legislation. That I think definitely needs to happen. But what I think needs to happen, even though it's probably never going to happen with how the market's going and how comfortable developers have gotten with trying to sell you a million different products and trying to paint it as something new, or trying to overcomplicate their stores, all that kind of stuff. We need to stop having like all these different in-game currencies and just stick to either you spend $25 and it's that set price.
Yeah.
Like, stop having all these currencies. We don't need all the V-Bucks, we don't need all the Robux, we don't need all this. Give me a normal price tag. Have some more, they need to crack down on microtransactions. Like, I remember when Overwatch had the whole loot box scandal. Why can't we have that again for all the things that are being monetized right now? There needs to be, because these are enabling people to go spend more money, especially young and vulnerable children, all that. And it's going to transfer to the point where same people are going to spend that extra bit of money on things that are supposed to be completely free.
And this is dangerous, because basically
It is.
you're grooming children to be gamblers. You're grooming them to be like, all right, I'm going to get this no matter how much it costs. I'm going to get it. I'm going to keep spending. Because
Not even just that.
It's enabling them.
It's taking advantage of people who have, gambling tendencies, or people that when they
Yeah. No.
Did y'all ever hear about the Maple Story thing at all?
Yes.
Which I doubt you guys have.
Yes.
I heard a little bit about Maple Story, yeah, with their whole
Like,
thing.
trying to advertise things too that are not obtainable, but
Yep.
you show that they are, and encourage people to spend more money.
Yep.
When does it end? Like, you guys, and then they lied about it, and the only fine they got was like a couple million. They're like almost $1 billion or $1 trillion company.
Yeah.
And just slap on the wrist. Where's the real punishment? When does it end? When are people going to actually make their voice heard about it? We need to stop trying to be like, oh, well, it's just another thing. I hate that everybody's trying to say that it's just another day in the industry, which I get it. There's not much we can do. But at least try to voice, your opinion about it. Make yourself heard that, like, this is not okay, because you got to vote with your wallets. You got to vote with your brain. And unfortunately, people keep buying this shit. That's the problem. People keep buying it. People keep supporting it. Then they go back on Twitter and say, oh, I hate this. It's terrible. Like, it's such a double standard. These are the people that'll say, it's especially with the streamers.
Oh,
that,
yeah.
oh, this is so bad for the game. You know what they're
But yet
doing?
they
They're
buy
spending.
it.
Y'all remember Diablo Immortal? Locking behind, rifts and all that, and getting higher, end gear through money, which of course
It cost over $10,000.
Yes. But you know what? Streamers were saying they're still spending money on it in front of their audiences,
Yep.
encouraging it and showing that, hey, I spent $2,000 on Diablo Immortal. I can go crush everybody in PvP with just the press of a button. Like, I'm so tired of people enabling this shit. Again, sorry for my language, but it's frustrating.
It really is, absolutely.
The big streamers enable it, and then the consumers are like, if he's doing it, I might as well. And that might be a really hot take. I'm sorry if that's a hot take, but I think that's generally what's going on, is that streamers enable it, especially because they have all the money to spare. Them spending $10,000, $2,000
Drop
on a
in the
game,
bucket.
it's like they just spent a $20 bill at eating out.
And they're gonna make that back with the audience, which is why
They're gonna
do it.
exactly. They're gonna
Yeah.
make it back within like 2 days.
Yeah.
It's just disgusting.
Yep, but you'll have that.
You will have that. Well,
And
thank you everyone for
that's
tuning in today.
Last topic.
Yeah, that was the last one. This is episode 3. Just a couple things I want to remind everyone of. We're gonna try to shoot for every Tuesday. So if you'd like to tune in live, every Tuesday around 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern, we're gonna try to aim for that. If we don't, we don't. But that's kind of what we're trying to force. So if you do want to tune in, there you go. And again, remember we are on Spotify, so please do check us out.
We just got on there recently. We're always uploading, and there's also a really cool thing you can do if you don't want to come on through YouTube and you want to give feedback through Spotify. You can do that. We are actively checking that every time we upload an episode.
Yep.
Make sure you hit that follow button for notifications on new episodes. What were you saying, by the way? Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. That was great. Yeah.
I like coming in. I like doing this kind of shit.
You are good. And then for YouTube, yep, you can check us out. This will be uploaded obviously right after the episode, so you can check us out there if you'd like video. Thank you all for tuning in.
Thanks. See you later.
See you guys.
You guys have a good night. Later.